We're Ike-n-Rory The Rhythm Riders.
I think for every musician, when they first start out, there's a bucket list of places that they want to play. And for me, the first place I wanted to play was the Vogue Theater. The moment you walk into that place, you can feel the history of the room. The hardwoods under your feet. The pictures on the walls of all the legendary acts that came there before you. I knew from the first moment that I walked into that place that I wanted to play there.
Playing the Vogue, personally, to me, it's one of those things. I've been lucky enough to play that venue for 30 years. I think the first time I played there was in April of 1994 with a band I was in called The Still.
Oh, the first time I played the Vogue? Awesome. I was actually in a tribute act. I was in a group called Goblin King, and we got asked to open for the other David Bowie tribute act that was coming through town.
I guess the first show I saw was a show I played in when I was 18 years old. With my original college band called Cootie Brown.
First time I played the Vogue was with a band called The Great Hookup. We played with Red Moon, Shady Side All-Stars, and the Twin Cats.
Rolling Stone, see my picture on the Rolling Stone. Buy 5 copies for my mother. Rolling Stone, see my smiling face. The color of the Rolling Stone. There's that scale that's so right.
You know, playing music publicly and professionally wouldn't have happened for me if it weren't for Kelly Eisenhower. I met Kelly back in 2006 at a venue he was doing regular shows at called the Beer Cellar.
And it worked. So we just kind of stuck with it. And next thing you know, we became Ike-n-Rory, and then we became the Lumberjacks. And then 20 years later, we're still doing it. So thank God.
Oddly enough, I met Rory at work. Talked about playing music together for 3 or 4 years. After that, kind of managed to make it happen with another project I was in. We did a big show at one of these other venues in town, Duke's Indy. And then once that was finished, a couple of months went by, and then Rory called me up and said, "Hey man, do you want to do a run of shows with us? We've got one at the Bluebird in Bloomington and one at the Vogue in Indy." And this was in 2022, I think. So I jumped into the band at that time. It was great.
I liked the people. I mean, I already knew Rory and Kelly, but I hadn't known Josh. And Josh was a little different, so it took a while to get used to him.
I knew my notes, but I didn't know what songs we were going to play, so I didn't know if I knew the notes or not. Met Kevin the first night they invited me to rehearsal.
I met Kevin Hood 25 years ago when I was playing with another band. He played drums with me for years. And one of the best drummers I've ever played with in my entire life. Rory brought Josh Austin in the picture, who unbelievably I never met. I don't know how throughout the circuit all these years I never met the guy. Because when I first met him, I realized right away this is going to work.
Take a load off Annie. Take a load for 3. Take a load off Annie.
Early 2025, we got the call to play the Vogue in December with our good friends from Nashville, Southern Accents. We decided that we wanted to put together songs that were connected or correlated somehow to Tom Petty, being that we're playing a show with a Tom Petty tribute band.
But for something like, the Vogue, like opening up for Southern Accents, we're definitely tailoring to folks that, are into Tom Petty. They're into the stuff that goes along with it. This particular show, we actually had some fun with it and tried to do mostly tunes from people that had played with Tom Petty. So we thought that was pretty rad.
We knew that we had to get prepared for the gig, and we only had a few opportunities to get together. We've been practicing regularly for years, so we had a pretty good idea of the work that needed to be done in order to pull off a show of this caliber. get a feeling, gonna be okay. Work our jobs and collect our pay. We had 2 dates that would work for rehearsal. On top of this, we invited our good friend Brian to play with us. To make things more difficult, Brian lives in Colorado.
A couple months ago, I played with Josh and Rory and some other buddies, Darren and Kevin. We covered The Dark Side of the Moon. Josh and I had talked a few weeks later, and he mentioned that you guys might be playing the Vogue. And I said, well, I'll just leave my keyboard there instead of shipping it back to Colorado. Turned out that the timing of the show at the Vogue was going to work out relatively well between a marginal window where I could travel during the holiday season, which is not usually something I can typically do. Josh and Rory both told me a little bit about the theme of the show, given that it was songs somewhat connected to Tom Petty in some way or another, because we were open for a band, Southern Accents. So most of the songs, I'd say all the songs, are songs that I hadn't played before. So coming from a classical background, I wanted to be pretty studious about practicing, and so I did. I practiced every day.
Question. The reason I keep coming back, honestly, is because I see the reaction that people get sometimes. I see what comes with me playing music. If you could take people away from their problems for 10 minutes or an hour or 2 hours and take them on a roller coaster ride. And I figured out a long time ago that if people could connect to you, just one person could connect to you, and that's it. You've done your job, and that makes a world of difference to me. When I'm out there and someone is smiling and they're singing along and they come up and tell me that they had a bad day and that tonight made a difference, it made their day better. That makes me coming back.
I'm a little different. Like, it takes 2 people for me to be like, yeah, encore, I'll play another song. Like, it doesn't take a lot.
I mean, the love of the music, right? Like, people love music. I love music. I want to keep coming back for music. And when people show up and they come to shows, that's why we keep coming back. A couple days before the first rehearsal, we get word that Kelly was in a bad wreck.
Was Saturday night, I was coming home from a gig up near Rossville, and I got hit by a drunk driver. And luckily, I don't drink anymore. I quit almost 5 years ago, thankfully. But that was by far the scariest thing I've ever experienced in my entire life, by far. Happened is I was on the phone with actually a friend of mine, a musician, who heard the whole thing. And then by the time I spun out and stopped, I was 100 feet away from this girl that hit me. And I didn't realize that my friend was still on the phone. And I stopped and I heard him say, Kelly. And I immediately go, God? And he goes, no, Jason. I go, oh, thank God. We had a Vogue date coming up in a few weeks. And I was honestly just thankful that I was still around. And as I called Rory the next day and said, told him what happened and everything.
Thank God that nothing was major, there was no major injuries, but still, he was hurting pretty good and he couldn't make that first rehearsal. So me, Josh, and Kevin get together and attempt to FaceTime Brian, but that wasn't in the cards, due to some obligations and some connections not being the greatest.
Yes, we had limited, I think we had 2 rehearsals, and we hadn't played for a while just because of the weather and I think just the schedule. So it was a little nerve-wracking. There was 1 or 2 songs I thought were maybe sketchy.
Well, we have rehearsal tonight for our show at the Vogue on the 19th. We're playing some songs we haven't played before, so there's that, and that's always a little challenging when it comes to doing some stuff, so we'll see what happens.
A true love and hard to find. I can smell those orange blossoms. I can see the standing there. When I smell those orange blossoms, well, I'm there.
So we show up at the shop and start in on the songs. We're still not able to get Brian on FaceTime, but we're sending clips of the songs of him working on things that kind of still give us that confidence that he can fly in and play the show that day.
But a daddy didn't like me. He didn't like how I look. He said, leave that boy be. And that was all that he took. True love and hard to find. I can smell those orange blossoms.
I mean, I lobbied pretty hard to not drop the way you do the things you do, and we didn't. Although there was a lot of talk from multiple members of the band, scared of it. I wasn't scared of it.
Got the smile so bright. You know you could have been a candle. You hold you so tight. You know you could have been a handle. The way you swept me on my feet. You know you could have been a through.
Yeah, that one tripped me up. And it was really about the chorus, like going into that chorus line. I could not, for whatever reason, sing that right. Like it threw me off, and I didn't know if I could do it tomorrow. I asked Kelly if he would be able to do it, but we worked it out. So here we are, one rehearsal in. We're feeling so-so about the song list, and two of the guys have not played any of these tunes yet.
Luckily, this band is always very well rehearsed, and I'm so grateful. I always tell people all the time that when you see our shows, you can tell we rehearse. You can tell, it's obvious. And I think that's the best part, is that I think when we get ready for a big show, I think that's what I'm ready for, is that I know that we're going to go at it full bore, 100%, because we're ready for it. We always have been. We've never been to a show yet that we're unprepared for. And if we're unprepared for something, we switch things up. Like, for example, somebody didn't want to do a song the other night because we didn't think it was practiced enough, but Josh and I said, yeah, we're going to do it. Because we did it, and it sounded great.
By the end of that rehearsal, we still had one guy who had never played with us, a singer who couldn't phrase the chorus lines of an iconic song, and it was 3 days till showtime.
Broad Ripple back in the day was like the local music scene, and the Vogue was at the heart of that.
First show I ever saw at the Vogue, oh my gosh, probably the Y Store. That was probably early 90s, I imagine. I was probably 21.
I mean, the first memory I had of the Vogue was driving up there to see Johnny Cash, but I didn't get in because I was too young, but I begged him to let me in. I mean, that's my first memory of the Vogue.
First time I went to the Vogue, it was to see the Wailers. Me and my buddy went down there, had a great time. The room was amazing. Kind of stood dead center stage, and they crushed. It's show day. Now, show days for me are always a little mix of nerves and excitement. Things were lining up, and I felt pretty good about it. We're getting everything ready, we're chatting with Brian on his progress. He's landed in Denver and waiting for his connection flight to Indy. We get a heads up that the flight was delayed, but he could still land with plenty of time to make the gig, so we weren't really tripping about it. We get the call that Brian's flight was delayed again, and he wouldn't be able to make the flight from Denver to Indy in time to play the show.
And I was bummed for Brian because then he was stuck in the airport for like 24 hours or 48 hours.
The letdown was real. I couldn't even have imagined what that felt like in the moment. Considering earlier the day he posted a link to the show, inviting his people from Indy and signing off on that post with a tag that said, "bucket list shit."
The night before the gig itself happened to be my birthday. I had to work that day. I had some prior commitments, so I couldn't fly that day. As I was preparing to pack and get out there the next morning, I did see that there was a bit of a wind concern on the Front Range. For those that aren't familiar with Denver International Airport, it lies just to the east of the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains, meaning 100-mile-an-hour plus winds coming down the downslope. And then my phone tinged just about the time I was getting the check for breakfast. Said, oh, there's a delay. There happened to be a piano in Terminal B right in the center, and so I took the opportunity to sit down and practice some of the songs. I sent my video to Rory and Josh and laughed about it, said, I'm just practicing, I'll be there shortly. So I sat for a while, and then my phone went off 2 or 3 more times, and I started to realize that this gig might be in jeopardy of my arrival. So I texted both Josh and Rory that things are looking grim, but I'm still very hopeful. Plane did show up. I was very excited. Sent a video. To both guys. And then they came over the loudspeaker, and this was the dagger to the heart. They said that the crew was not available. We hemmed and hawed for a minute, and I think tried to reassure each other that everything would be okay. But ultimately, we made the call just to remove Brian from the roster, which honestly I was fine with because the gig is what's most important.
So we had a friend of ours who was going to come in. He was flying in from Colorado today to do this show with us. But there was 100-mile-an-hour winds in Colorado today, so they couldn't fly out. And he ended up staying there, which is a total bummer. We're still going to try to rip this song for y'all, and I hope you like it.
I've got to have a change of scene. Every night I have strangest dream.
So we run through sound check, and it went smooth as smooth can be. The engineers at the Vogue are top notch, and they make things really, really easy.
John Martin, who's a sound guy now, was our sound guy for my band in college. And he was telling me, you're gonna love it when you walk in there. And the sound in that room is just, it's unbeatable, it's incredible.
I'm not feeling good myself. Feeling alright, yes I am. I'm not feeling good myself.
We hit the stage at 8 p.m. sharp, and from the second that we said hello to the crowd, it was on. Felt the show went great. Minimal mess ups. Crowd showed up. We showed up. Everybody seemed to dig it. That's kind of validation I seek.
As soon as you walk on that stage, you can feel the vibe.
It was good. It was better than I thought. There was like 2 little sketchy songs I was worried about, and they could have been better.
I thought the show was great overall. I mean, minus a couple of glaring things that couldn't be prevented by anyone other than Jesus Christ himself. Urge Brian to fly in on his birthday.
This is why we do what we do. To be able to capture a moment in time and have the ability to go back 15, 20 years from now and see exactly how that show impacted us is why we do this.
I mean, we're doing this documentary because it needs this place and time. Like, I believe that about the music that we make, regardless if it's, you know, our tunes, other people's tunes, whatever we're doing, right? The songs that we perform and the time and space that we take up to do it, the cumulative effort that it takes to make something like this happen, it deserves to be documented.